That's a lot of people. They've got themselves a big, big surprise coming, don't they, huh? It's like 4 years ago. Except now we've done it all, so now you know. You know, before I'd come and I'd say, we're going to this, we're going to give you tax cuts, we're going to rebuild your military, we're going to give you regulation cuts, the biggest in history. But now we've done it all, so now you know it's not just talk. The others all talk, no action. This is not talk. We've done it. We've done so much. Hello, Pennsylvania. 8 days from now, we are going to win the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and we are going to win 4 more great years in the White House. Our opponent, Sleepy Joe Biden, you heard it the other night at the debate. Did anybody see the debate? That's where he said there will be no fracking, right? No energy. How about 1 million jobs from Pennsylvania? Forget about it. His agenda is one of doom and gloom and depression and despair. He's right now locked in his basement. He's put the lid on, you know, the lid on the garbage can. That's what they tell. Somebody said he's going to make his way out. You know, he sees we had a tremendous crowd before. We have another one of these. And, you know, those, well, I love you too. I don't know who she is, but she sounds very nice. She sounds very nice. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. No, he saw what went on 2 hours ago at another location in Pennsylvania. And he said, we better get out. I don't think he said it. His people said, his handlers, they said, listen, Sleepy Joe, we got to get you out of the basement. So they just announced, you know, this morning they announced he's putting the lid on, you know, the lid? And I hear it's for 5 days. 5 days, that's 50% of the campaign. No, but they just announced we had a tremendous just a lot of love, right? And they just announced he's leaving to make a speech. You know where he's going to make it? In Delaware. He always makes it in Delaware. About 3 minutes from his basement. They got to get him out. That's why. They got to get him out. They see what's happening. You know, our polls are through the roof, and the fake news is, look at all those people back there. They don't like to report it. They don't like to report it. Our agenda is one of unlimited optimism, opportunity, growth, patriotism, prosperity, and true American pride. That's what we have. That's what we have. You heard him the other night, this is going to be a dark winter. No, it's not going to be a dark winter. It's going to be a great winter. It's going to be a great spring. For the last half century, Joe Biden's been outsourcing your jobs right here in Pennsylvania. You were one of the biggest victims of it. Opening your borders and sacrificing American blood and treasure in endless foreign wars. They just never ended. Countries you've never even heard of. Now Joe Biden, and we're bringing them all back. Our boys and young women are coming all back. Now Biden is trying to ban fracking. You heard it the other night. Oh, it was so nice. He almost made it through the debate. I was a little surprised. Wasn't great, but he was fine. And then we talked the energy question. And he forgot. He forgot. No, we want to wean ourselves off energy. Oh, that's not so good. And I said, Texas, are you listening? Pennsylvania, are you listening? No, he's going to ban fracking because he has no choice. No, he's going to ban fracking because he has no choice. His party wants to ban it. He's going to ban fracking and deliver an economic death sentence for Pennsylvania and for many other places in our country. And frankly, it affects not just places that frack and oil territory. You know who it affects? Everybody having to do with paying an energy bill. How about the $2 gasoline for your car? That's not bad, right? Remember when it used to be $5.50? And Nobody saw an end in sight. We have it to 2 and even sometimes below. At the same time, we saved our great companies, our energy. We're #1 in the world now, by far #1 in the world. And Pennsylvania is a big, big part of it. In last week's debate, Joe Biden confirmed his plan to abolish the entire U.S. oil industry. I said, you mean no more oil, Joe? Well, that's what I mean. I felt like Perry Mason. You ever watch Perry Mason? That last little, it was always the last minute. I did it. Yes, I did. I was Perry Mason. No oil, Joe? She even said, why did you say that? Right? Kristen, who was very good. Actually, I thought she was good. A lot of people thought she was tough. I thought she was very good. I thought she was good. I mean, considering that it was sort of supposed to be 2-on-1 from day one, right? But we've had that from the beginning, haven't we, huh? And here we are. Here we are. No, I thought she was good. But she said that, right? She said, why did you say that? Why? And that's when he really got into trouble. That means no fracking, no natural gas, no jobs, no energy for Pennsylvania families. He will eradicate your energy and send Pennsylvania into a crippling depression, and that's what you'll have. If this guy gets in with the biggest tax cuts, look, I gave you the biggest tax cuts in history. He wants to give you the biggest tax increase in history. He wants to raise your taxes by the most ever. Think of this. All my life I've been watching politicians. We will give you a tax cut. We will cut your taxes. We will cut them. We will cut them. This guy is running against me. We will raise your taxes. Who the hell ever heard of that? I never heard of it. This could only happen to me. And then you have Biden's running mate. How about her, Kamala? She's considered America's, by far, most liberal senator. She's more liberal than Crazy Bernie. Can you believe it? Even sponsored the $100 trillion Green New Deal, which will destroy our country. Totally destroy. No planes, no cars, no cows, right? No cows. Cows are next. They took it out, but only temporarily. They don't like cattle of any kind. And it's a plan for economic suicide, $100 trillion. If our country did great every year for 100 years, we'd lose a fortune at $100 trillion. You couldn't make that much, no matter how well we did, if everything was going on all 12 cylinders. 100, made up by AOC plus 3, a great student of the environment. I don't think she ever took an environmental course in college. She did go to college, right? But AOC plus 3, I heard she was very upset that I was calling her AOC plus 3. 3 is her friends. Her 3 friends that know less than she knows. Joe Biden is a diehard globalist who wiped out your steel mills, closed down your factories, killed your coal jobs, outsourced your industries, and supported every horrible, terrible, ridiculous trade deal for over a half a century. Think of it. 47 years plus. He was a cheerleader for NAFTA, the worst trade deal ever made. And I ended it. Remember I used to say, we're going to end it, and everyone smiled. They said, hey, look, give it a shot. I got it done. Nobody thought I could get that done. And USMCA just kicked in, and it's incredible for our country. Less for their countries, but that's okay. They're happy, sort of. Not too happy. He enthusiastically voted for China's entry into the World Trade Organization. That was the beginning of the China rise. That was a disaster. They were flatlined for years and years, and then boom. Thank you very much, Joe. I appreciate it, Joe. Joe and others. Decimating your manufacturing and enriching China at your expense. You know that. You know that China is considered a third world country, and for purposes of that, it's considered a developing country. So they have all sorts of advantages over us in this horrible, horrible World Trade Organization. But we just won a $7.5 billion lawsuit because they know I'll pull so fast out of that mess. That is such an unfair deal. And all of a sudden we're winning. All of a sudden we're winning cases. $7.5 billion. 7.5 billion. They're not too happy about it. No, but think of it. They're considered a developing nation. I said, so we're a developing nation, too. We're developing. They're developing. We're developing. They get big advantages. Nobody ever said. Obama never said anything. Sleepy Joe never said that. I'm the one that figured it out. I said, how come they're getting all these great deals? Well, sir, they're considered a developing nation, whereas the United States is considered developed. I said, we're not developed. You got to be kidding me. They were not developed. We want to be a developing nation also. And so we're having a big dispute, world trade. And how about the, well, world health, right? So we were paying $500 million a year. China was paying $39 million a year. China had more access and more power within the realm than we did. So I said, let me ask you a question. Number one, they were wrong on almost everything. I don't want to knock them, but they were wrong on the pandemic. They were called a lot of shots wrong, almost everything. They were in China's pocket. I said, just out of curiosity, let's get down to dollars. Why are we, 325 million people, why are we paying 500 million? And why is China paying 39 million? And China has more power within than we do. So if you don't mind, I withdrew from the World Trade, from the World Health, from World Health. I withdrew from World Health. And I promise you one thing, if we ever go back, we can go back for much less money. That I can tell you. You don't pay 500. No, but seriously. So they have 1.5 billion people. They're paying 39. Right? We have 325. We're paying 500. Other than that, it's a wonderful transaction. I say, oh, we have hundreds. I could talk to you all day about it. We have hundreds of things just like that. Pennsylvania lost 50% of its manufacturing jobs after Biden's NAFTA and this China disaster that we signed. A decade after decade, vote after vote, Biden betrayed Pennsylvania. He betrayed our country through sheer stupidity. Even his Secretary of State, who was also Secretary of Defense, said he never made the right decision on foreign events, on foreign deals, on foreign anything. He never made the right decision on economics. The guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Do you finally understand this? He repeatedly tried to cut Social Security and Medicare, you know? I think we have. It costs a hell of a lot of money. We're only doing this for very important groups. See that screen up there? It costs a lot of money. Look at these cranes over there holding up the flags. I hope they're being donated by the crane company for the good publicity they're going to get. But that's a lot of power holding up the flags. But you know what? Our flag deserves a lot of power, doesn't it? Now, after years of economic treachery, Sleepy Joe Biden wants to ban fracking. And that's what he is. That's when we have the tapes. Remember, he said, oh, play the tape. This guy went for a full year. We will ban fracking. We will ban fracking like 100 times. I could have this thing running for hours. I just show you a couple. When it goes on. Cecil B. DeMille. When it goes on, right? I just show you a couple. But he went for a whole year. We will ban fracking, ban fracking. Then he got lucky. Elizabeth Warren decided that she wanted to hurt her, you know, her person where the philosophies are the same. So she stayed in. Think of it. Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren. She would have, all she had to do is get out before Super Tuesday, and Joe would not have won any state, right? Wouldn't have won a state. She took the votes away from Crazy Bernie. And you know, Bernie is the best sportsman I've ever seen. He loses all the time, and he's happy. He goes back into Congress. Oh. Is Bernie running again in 4 years? Does anyone know? The press. Look, I'll ask the fake news. Well, they'll give you a fake answer. No, it's true. He's a tremendous loser. He is a tremendous loser. But he did us some big favors. You know, we had a lot of Bernie's people come with us last time because they agree with me on trade. They couldn't have done what we did, but they know that we were being taken advantage of by foreign countries, many of whom are allies. You know, they keep saying, we don't treat our allies right. Well, they don't treat us right either. Got to remember that. They don't treat us right. You don't have to take my word about his record. Just take a look at this magnificent tape that we made for you. for the people of Pennsylvania, and it really pertains to you so much. Go ahead.
My problem is I voted for NAFTA.
I'm supporting NAFTA because I think it is a positive thing to do. And I do not pretend to be an expert on international trade matters.
When you ran for president and when Barack Obama ran for president, you both said you would renegotiate NAFTA. You didn't.
Trade agreements like NAFTA and permanent normal trade relations with China, which forced American workers to compete against people who are making pennies an hour, has resulted in the loss of 160,000 jobs.
The president is absolutely right when he says that China has been cheating for 25 years and that Bill Clinton didn't do enough about it, George W. Bush didn't do enough about it, Barack Obama didn't do enough about it.
How exactly are you going to negotiate that? What magic wand do you have?
The rising China is an incredibly positive development for not only China, but the United States and the rest of the world. Rising China is a positive development. It is in our self-interest that China continue to prosper. We want to see China rise. China is a great nation, and we should hope for the continued expansion.
China is not our enemy.
We talk about China as our competitor. We should be helping. The idea that China is going to eat our lunch is bizarre. The idea that they are our competition, they're going to beat us, is bizarre. China is going to eat our lunch? Come on, man. They're not bad folks. China's not a problem.
Allowing China into the World Trade Organization, which you supported, extending most favored nation status to China, which you supported, those steps allowed China to take advantage of the United States by using our own open trade deals against us.
No.
Do you think in retrospect that you were naive about China?
No.
Today, we're finally ending the NAFTA nightmare and signing into law the brand new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. Very special.
Listen, it's hard to overstate the importance of the USMCA. This is the single biggest bipartisan legislative victory for this president and this administration. It is a huge deal.
Wage growth is better than it has been since 2009. That means it is better than it has been for 7 out of 8 of the years that Obama was president.
The new USMCA has powerful protections to keep auto manufacturing jobs. Since the election, we've created 41,000 brand new motor vehicle and parts jobs.
But doesn't he deserve some credit for that? It's better. The USMCA is better than NAFTA.
It is better than NAFTA. I never said I oppose fracking.
You said it on tape.
I did. Show the tape. Put it on your website.
I'll put it on.
Put it on the website.
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?
No, we would work it out. We would make sure it's eliminated. I guarantee you, we're going to end fossil fuel. No more, no new fracking. I'd gradually move away from fracking.
And I think it's critically important on day one that we end any fossil fuel leases on public lands.
Well, like, what about, say, stopping fracking and stopping pipeline infrastructure and
They want to do the same thing I want to do. They want to phase out fossil fuels, and we're going to phase out fossil fuels.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
I have one final question.
Would he close down the oil industry?
It falls.
Or would you close down the oil
By
industry?
the way, I would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I would
that's
transition.
a big statement.
That is a big
In
statement.
terms of business, that's the biggest statement.
Okay.
Because
We have
basically
one
what he's
final
saying
question,
is he is
Mr.
going to
President.
destroy the oil industry. Will you remember that, Texas? Will you
Okay.
remember that, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma?
Vice President.
Goodbye, Pennsylvania. Thank you very much. Make sure you vote properly. No, I'm kidding. What do I have to speak about? Okay, he's going to destroy your economy. I mean, he said it. And then he says, he lies. He goes and says for a year, There will be no fracking. Then he goes and he says there'll be fracking because he comes here. Somebody explains that you have 1 million jobs in fracking. And he goes, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, well, I never said that. For a year. He said it many, many times. We only put 4 or 5 versions of it up. We could have had him, we could have kept you here all day. And by the way, Barack Hussein Obama showed up too. You know how many people he's drawing at these rallies? Like he's drawing flies. 20, 30, 40. Not quite this crowd. Oh, did you see the other day? You see the other day, Mr. Congressman, a great congressman. He had 41 people, but the press never shows that. They show him speaking. Now with me, I want the opposite. I want them to show this crowd, you know, in the middle of the day, on a Monday. On a beautiful, raining, I mean, it's amazing, right? Middle of the day. It's incredible. No, here's 41 people. They had 22 people. And he gets up, and then they say, oh, he's so rhetorically good. I never thought he was a good speaker, personally. I really never did. Then they say, he's so handsome. He's so handsome. Oh, okay. All right. But they don't want to show, you know what they don't want to show? They don't want to show his crowd. They don't want to show the crowd. And you know what? They don't want to show this crowd for the exact opposite reason. Because this is amazing. And you know what, honestly? No matter where we go, Wisconsin, Ohio, North Carolina, we have crowds. Nobody's ever seen crowds. In the history of politics, there's and I say it knowing that, oh, they'll change it. In the history of politics, and you know, we have Pennsylvania Dutch. Don't tell anyone, you know, they're great people. They're great people, but they're not known for going out and voting for a lot of reasons. Don't tell anybody, but the Pennsylvania Dutch are voting en masse. Huh? They're voting. I heard that the other day. They said, we can't have a man who sleeps. They work hard. We can't have a guy that sleeps all day in a basement. We can't. We like Trump. We like Trump. That's great. Thank you. There's a little relationship there. You know, a long time ago, a little relationship there. Hard workers, incredible craftsmen. You've done work for me over the years. I'll tell you, they can throw up a barn in about 2 days. They can throw it up, and they use the wooden cogs. They don't use screws because they want to make everything themselves, right? And that is the most beautiful place. Really, you do great work. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. In 2016, Pennsylvania voted to fire this corrupt far-left political establishment, and you elected an outsider as president who is finally putting America first, okay? With your vote, we will continue to fight for American workers. Nobody's ever fought harder. Lower drug prices. I instituted a favored nations clause. The drug companies do not like me. You're going to have a 60, 70, 80% drop in drugs. You know, last year was the first year in 52 years that drug prices went down. They went down very little, but they went down 52 years. But that's the peanut stuff. The big stuff is favored nations. They are not happy. Big Pharma, most powerful, you know, lobbyists. They spend money like it's water. They are spending more money on me right now than Sleepy Joe in commercials, Big Pharma, because we pay the highest prices in the world. And I said, I want a favored nations where we match now the lowest country in the world. So we go from the highest to the lowest because I instituted something that nobody thought anybody would ever do. And they want to make a deal. You know, they all get paid like $35 million a year. They're very smart. I used to say, if you don't cut your drug prices, I'm going to institute favored nations. Oh, we don't mind that, sir. We don't mind that. We don't mind that. When I did it, they went crazy. They're good poker players. But they want to make a deal, so let's see. Maybe we'll make a deal, maybe we won't. But in the meantime, you have favored nations. I'm telling you, I see the great Jeffrey Lord there. Is that Jeffrey Lord? You're going to drop Jeffrey, formerly of CNN, and then he became a Trump guy, and CNN said, we got to get this guy off. We got to get him the hell out of there. You look good, Jeffrey. You look good. He's been a great guy, actually. He was in a hostile territory for a long time. But he knew what was right. He always knew what was right. Thank you very much, Jeffrey. We want to support our police, protect our great Second Amendment, defend our borders, and ensure more products are proudly stamped with that beautiful phrase, made in the USA. We're doing that. Remember when I campaigned 4 years ago? I said, we will be saying Merry Christmas again. We do. Remember? The department stores, they didn't like Merry Christmas. That was not politically correct. Oh, yeah? They learned. And they'd say Happy New Year, and they'd have their card in the snow and the whole thing, but they wouldn't say Merry Christmas. They were all saying Merry Christmas again. That's the way we have to have it. I told you that. We will deliver record prosperity, epic job growth, and a safe vaccine that quickly ends the pandemic, which is ending with or without. And we have the vaccines. They're going to be nobody would have them. It would be years before you had them. What I did with FDA, and FDA has been terrific, but it was called a slightly speedier process, okay? And totally safe. We will have the vaccine like momentarily, and we're all set to distribute it before the end of the year, maybe substantially before, but it's going good. But we are going to get ourselves back to normal life. I said normal life. Where we were 7 months ago, we had the greatest economy in the world. We had the greatest economy in the world. We want to get back to exactly that. And we're in a super V right now. You see the numbers, the housing numbers, the automobile numbers, all the numbers, the way they're coming back at a level that nobody's the job numbers. 11.4 million jobs in a short period of time. We will be back very quickly. We'll never forget what China did to us. We will never, ever forget. You know, I signed a great trade deal with China. They ordered it's the largest order of corn, the largest order of soybeans, beef, cattle, ever a few weeks ago, because they want to keep us happy. They want to keep us happy. But you know what? We're not happy. We're not happy. What they did to us, they could have stopped it. They stopped it from going into China, the rest of China, Wuhan, and they stopped it. But they didn't stop it from going out to the world, and that includes us in Europe and every other place, 188 countries. They didn't. Next year will be the greatest economic year in the history of our country. You see it all happening. And watch, Pennsylvania is a late voting state, by the way. You vote late, and I love that. I like voting a little late because you can see what we're doing. We've done an incredible job with a lot of different things, but you're going to have a GDP number. The Atlanta Fed said, now the highest, I think, was 8%, 9%. It was not, it was high. They projected 35% increase in GDP. Nobody's ever had that. I'll take 25% right now, okay? They projected a 35%. And that number will come out on November 1st, right before the election. So if you'd like to wait, everybody here is sure about Trump, but if you happen to be a little bit nervous, just wait. And we're going to have a 35% or 25%, but it's going to be magnificent because we are doing great. It's the greatest comeback anywhere in the world economically, and we went down the least of any country in the world. So remember that. I gave working families record-setting tax cuts, largest tax cuts in history. And in my second term, I will cut middle-class taxes even more. We're cutting the middle-income taxes very substantially. We're doing another cut. And what it does, to be honest, it brings more business. It brings more jobs. You have to see, in terms of what we did for business, companies are pouring into the United States. Joe wants to take all of the regulations that we took off, 20 years to build a highway with environmental and all, 20 years. No, they want to take them and they want to put them all back. Now we have it down to 2 years to build a highway, and it could be one, and it may be that you don't build it because of environmental or safety, and that's okay, but you're going to know fast, right? You're going to know fast, and you will build it, but you're going to know fast. 20 years, we have much worse than 20 years. We have highways that have taken 21, 22, 23 years and then never got approved. How about that? You go work on something for most of your adult life, and then they reject it at some environmental board, 3-2. No, we're going to do it in a year. We're getting it down to a number that's, and by the way, it's going to be much less expensive, much better. We have highways that started as a straight road from here to here that ended up like this. that costs 100 times more, much more, because it took so many years. And we're not doing that anymore. We'll put it in, we'll either get it approved or not get it approved. It's a big impact. That's one of the reasons that our foundations are so strong. That's one of the reasons that we can make a comeback. Nobody else can make a comeback like us. We have the greatest country in the world. Thank you. Thank you. So we gave you the biggest tax cut in history by far, and Biden is proposing the biggest tax hike in history, okay? That will lead to a depression like you've never seen. This is a terrible thing. By the way, this is the most important election in the history of our country. Remember that. Because you have a radical left movement that wants to make us a large-scale, very large-scale version of Venezuela or so many other countries with the same philosophy. And it can happen. You know, 18 years ago, Venezuela was a very rich, beautiful, powerful place. Now they don't have food, they don't have water, they don't have medicine, they have nothing. Nothing. They have oil. It's worthless. The whole thing is like what's happened. This would be a very, very large-scale version of the same thing. And it can happen. When you see these people and what they want to do, it's the same thing. It's all the same thing. Doesn't matter the size. We're much bigger. But it'll happen. We can't let it happen. This is the most important. And I never thought I'd say it, because what we did all together, most of you were with us 4 years ago, nobody thought that anything could ever be more important as an election than that. This is now the most important election we've ever had. It's a choice between a Trump super recovery and a Biden depression, and it will be a depression. It's a choice between a Trump boom and a Biden lockdown. He wants to lock down the country. Now, wait a minute. We understand the disease. We have to take care of our older, wonderful people, our elderly, especially if they have heart problems, diabetes problem in particular, different problems, and we do that. But look, I mean, I got it, and I'm here, right? I'm here. Great. We have great medicines now, great therapeutics, and First Lady got it, and she's doing great. But you know who else got it? Barron. My very tall son got it. He's definitely tall. He's very young, he's very tall, and he's strong. And you know, the doctor said, sir, I hate to inform you, Barron has tested positive. I said, tested positive for what? And they go, corona. They go, you know, there's about 30 different names, right, for this. I call it the China virus because that's where it came from. The China plague. No, Barron has tested. And I said, wow, that's too bad. Well, he's going to be good. So 99.9, right? 99.9. So I said, how you feeling, Barron? Good. Why? What's the problem? He didn't even know. I said to the doctor like 2 minutes later, how's Barron doing? Oh, he's okay, sir. He's fine. I said, what do you mean he's fine? It's gone. The young kids, they have a strong immune system. I've gained such respect for them. They have a much stronger system than we do, whether we like it or not. So it's one of those things. But we have to do that, and it's incredible. But we have made such strides. It's absolutely an amazing thing what we've done in a period of 7 months. Because, you know, I'm the president of the thank you very much. I'm the president of the United States. I can't lock myself in the basement of the White House. I can't. I can't lock myself in a beautiful bedroom in the White House upstairs. I can't do it. I can't do it because we have things to do. We have people to meet, and I'll have meetings. Sometimes I'd have meetings with a lot of people that were pretty much unavoidable if you're the president. I mean, you can go and just lock yourself away. You can't do that. And I'd leave those meetings, and I'd say, even with Gold Star families, you know, they're looking forward for months and months, and they lost their son or their daughter or their husband or their wife, and you can't cancel that. And I say, boy, and I'm not referring to that. So many of the meetings I'd have, I'd say, that's a little risky, right? That's a little risky. And then one day you get it, and that's okay. You get better. We have such great, I think, cures. Regeneron, I mean, to me, that was like a cure. I don't know, maybe it would have been fine without it. But let's say I didn't want to take a chance, you know, if I have my choice. I'll do whatever. I often tell the story about, when you're president, you have a lot of doctors. And I had 12, and the best. He's great. Sean from the White House doctor is fantastic. He really is. They're great, talented people. And the Walter Reed Hospital is incredible. I see what they do to our young, incredible soldiers that come back with horrific injuries, and they do their job. And Johns Hopkins, and I'm sitting in bed, and I'm saying, I don't feel so good, doctors. And they say, I say, where are you all from? And I get a list of the who's who of the world, right? These 12 guys. And they each, he says, and they each, thank you very much. I think that's a compliment. But they each have like a specialty. And I'm sitting around, I'm laying there, and I want to get the hell out. But I'm not feeling the best I've ever felt. I haven't been used to that. And all of a sudden, hands go all over my body. I got these 12 guys, they examine every part of your body. You wouldn't believe it. I said, get the hell out of here. I want to get out of here. But I took Regeneron, and the next morning, I felt like Superman. I felt, boom, boom. I said, I got to get back. I got to get back. You don't want a president that's laying in the hospital saying, oh, we got to get back, right? And people get back. 99.9. I mean, and this state has to open up. This state. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, you got to get it open. You have a governor who, by the way, has made it. A governor named Wolf. I'll remember. On my last site, he got them to close it up. We've had a lot of problems getting sites. They believe in freedom of speech, of course, but we've had a lot of problems with this guy. Because, in the last one, we had to move around different sites. He was watching. They don't want us to speak. And this is the guy who's in charge of ballots, right, in this state. So what do you think he's going to do with the ballots, right? And this is the guy that we just sued because they don't want to have poll watchers in Philadelphia. So why don't they want to have poll watchers? What's wrong with people watching the votes? They don't want to have poll watchers. If Joe Biden and the Democrat socialists are elected, they will delay the vaccine, delay the therapies, prolong the pandemic, and close your schools and shut down your country. I hate to say it, you are shut down anyway, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, you're going to have to either get a new governor or he's going to have to open it up. Don't worry. On November 4th, he will announce, we have decided to open up Pennsylvania. No, that's true. I had the same thing in Michigan. We actually sued Michigan and the Constitution. They opened it up. They said it's unconstitutional what she was doing. She was running it like a prison camp, except for one person. Who was it? Her husband. Her husband gets caught going out boating and all sorts of stuff. He was the only one that was allowed to do whatever he wanted. But no, she ran it to, it was terrible what was happening in Michigan. And by the way, we're up in Michigan. We're leading. I have here. And the only reason I'm doing this, remember I used to do it all the time 4 years ago. I got to start doing it again because they give you fake poll numbers. So Rasmussen, which was very accurate, great poll, had us at 53 and 52. We're at 52%. History says that at 52% you don't lose, right? We're at 52%. They don't want to report it. Any poll that comes out positive, they don't put it on. I've been told by pollsters, why don't you get it out? It's a great poll. Sir, we do get it out. They will not report it. These people are the most dishonest people. So, ready? Different polls. We're leading in Nevada. We're leading big in Texas. You don't hear that. We're leading big in Ohio. Remember, you must win Ohio. In fact, I hear they left Ohio. They've given up Ohio. We're leading big in Ohio. Jim Jordan is a good guy, right, Jim? Ohio. We're leading by 4 points in Florida. You didn't hear that, did you? We're leading by infinity in Utah and West Virginia. We're leading by, forget it, I won't even. We're leading by a lot in Utah. We're leading by 20 points in West Virginia, 20. In Georgia, we're leading by 4 points. And I think it's much more. By the way, 4 points, and then we have Jeffrey Wright, the hidden voter. A lot of you people are hidden voters. They'll say, who are you voting for? Leave me alone. Just leave me alone. That's what happened. Remember, they thought that I lost because the exit polls. And people would ask about, they're coming out. Most in history, by the way, the most in history. They'd leave the poll. They voted 4 years ago. And they'd say, who did you vote for? These arrogant, stupid people. Who did you vote for? It's none of your business. So they'd mark it a blank. And then another one, who did you vote for? Some of them would say, I voted for Hillary Clinton. Is that okay? And they did. They voted for me. They said, I voted for crooked Hillary Clinton. Okay, is that all right? So they'd say, okay, Hillary Clinton. Who did you vote for? None of your business. There's another word. There's another 2 words that are much more effective. Who do you vote for? But I won't say it if I do that. The campaign is over, right? She's saying, don't say it, please, sir. I promise. And I've learned. We can't even kid. With these guys, we can't kid. It's a lot of them, though. There are a lot of them on a rainy day in Pennsylvania, middle of the day. So what happened is I was told, a number of people called, sir, I'm sorry to tell you that it's looking very, very bad. Oh, wow. Why? And I had gotten home from Michigan, made a speech at 1 o'clock in the morning it started, so it's election day, with 32,000 people. And she had made a speech, prime time, 7 o'clock, and she had 500. I said, why are we going to lose Michigan? Hadn't been won in decades by a Republican. I said, I think we're going to win. But anyway, we get back, and we did. We won Michigan. We're leading Michigan again, by the way, according to this. We're leading a lot of places that they don't talk about. They don't want to talk about it. It's suppression. They want to convince you. They want to depress you. They want to suppress you. They want you to think, gee, let's not vote. We love our president, but let's not vote because he's not going to win. Well, they tried that last time, and it didn't work. And it's going to work even. I mean, our numbers are much better this time than last time. So but you got to vote. I almost hate to tell you because you'll say, oh, now I don't have to vote. He's winning, right? Now you got to go out and vote. But I'll never forget that evening where I was told, sir, no, sir, I'm sorry, but not looking good. Because they took all those people, which was like 42%, that said it's none of your business, essentially, in different forms, and they didn't count them. And they didn't realize that every one of those people that said that was our people. And then all of a sudden I get a call like an hour and a half later from a real pro who's with me right backstage, Bill. And he goes, sir, these are great numbers. Sir, you're going to win Florida. Sir, you're going to win North Carolina. Sir, you're going to win Pennsylvania. He's a political pro. And when I got the first call from a great person, but felt badly because we worked so hard. When I got the first call, I went in to see our great First Lady, who's a great person. I said, First Lady, First Lady. I said, First Lady, sometimes referred to as Melania. I said, it's not looking good. It's not looking good, First Lady. We worked hard. And it's funny, I thought it wasn't going to make it, but one thing, unlike Joe, where he goes into a basement, if he loses, and who knows what happens, right? It's called an election. He should be ashamed of himself because he didn't work. And no, seriously, he didn't work. One thing, I did 5, 6, and sometimes 7 of these in one day those last few days. And during the regular time, I do 2 or 3. Today I'm doing 3 of these. Tremendous crowd waiting for us at another part. This is the second one. So when they told me that information, you feel badly, but I didn't feel bad because I left it. The athletes, they say, we left it all in the field. It was all left. And I did 6 or 7 that day, 6 or 7 of these. This is not like talking in front of 10 people, right? There's a lot of people here. And I did them from early in the morning till 1 o'clock in the morning the next day, which was election day. So I didn't feel. But then what happened, so I told the First Lady, I said, not looking good. She said, do you mean we lost? I said, it looks like it. Then I go in about an hour later. First Lady, I got news for you. I think we're going to win. Because they didn't, isn't it sort of an amazing thing? But they didn't say that they had this tremendous record set of numbers. When you leave, people usually say, I voted for this one, that one, I voted. But we had a record set of numbers, Jeffrey. We had a record set where they just said, it's none of your business. We don't want to tell you. And all of them were our votes. And this was the only guy that figured it out. So we had one of the most exciting evenings in the history of this world, let alone this country. was all over the world. And we're about to go into an evening, in 8 days, can you believe that? We're about to go into an evening that I think is going to have a similar result, and maybe even a bigger margin, but a similar result. And the same thing is happening. You know, a good writer, very good writer, a writer on politics, but a lot of things, Byron York, right? Would you rate him good, right? I think he's good. But I saw him this morning, and he wrote something that they were asking him who's going to win. He said, I don't know, because they only show these fake polls. He said, I don't know, but I cover this. He's a great political guy, and he said, I go around and I cover this whole thing. And I'm not only talking about the rallies that Trump has, because he sets them up. You know, we have to take the space, and we have to do. We're organically, there are rallies of boats, thousands of boats all over the place, and cars, and tractors, and trucks, thousands and thousands. He said, there's never been anything like this. He said, I've never seen anything like this politically. There's such a spirit like I've never seen. He said, you have these organic, and Trump has nothing to do with them. But they're rallies where truckers get 1,000 trucks. In Iowa, they had like 2,000 tractors on this massive field. He said, I've never seen anything like this, so I can't really tell you, but I have never seen. And how about these rallies? Nobody's ever had rallies like this. You might have a rally like this. You might have a rally like this on the night before the election, right? The night before the election. But you'd never have rallies. These are massive. Every one. Ohio was so big. Ohio, if you would have added up inside and outside, you had at least 50,000 people. Wisconsin, the same kind of a thing. But he said, forget those. I'm talking about where they just organically form. Nothing to do with Trump. And it's an amazing thing, right? It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing. So we have a spirit. We have a spirit and enthusiasm, which is the most important thing. We have a spirit and enthusiasm that's even far greater than 4 years ago. We had a lot. We had a record. But we have much more. Because we've done so much. Nobody, no administration has done in the first 3.5 years what we've done. When you think we've rebuilt our military, we've gotten the big tax cuts, we've gotten the biggest regulation cuts in history. I mean, so many things. Right to try. I'm just thinking, right to try, where you can now, as a patient, you're terminally ill, you couldn't get anything, you'd have to travel all over the world. Most people didn't have money, they'd go home and they'd die. Now we have right to try, where you can get these advanced treatments that haven't been fully approved. You're terminally ill. They're very hard to get. They've been trying to do it for 40 years. What we've done for the vets, 91% approval rate. So there's more enthusiasm now, by far, and we were known as, that was the most enthusiastic anybody has ever seen a political campaign. The deplorables, remember Hillary? The deplorables. I heard that speech. She said a second word, irredeemable, right? She said, the deplorables and the irredeemables. I thought irredeemables was worse, but that one didn't catch on. Little did she know, whoever wrote that speech, I want no part of them. Because the next day, I am a deplorable, I'm a proud deplorable, right? It was the craziest thing. But there has never been a campaign like that. This one has much more enthusiasm. The difference is, before I was a guy who was successful, who was saying, we're going to do this and this and this. But, you know, you're listening, you say, okay. Now we have done, according to two of those people, by the way, that I see there, we have done more than we promised, like Space Force. We did Space Force. I never talked about Space Force, right? Think of it. We have now, Space Force, a sixth branch of the military. It's been 75 years since that happened, the Air Force, right? Now, I realized when I was in office that we needed it, because I saw Russia and I saw China in particular. And I saw them and I said, well, we need this. And that's very hard to get. And we got it. We did much more than we even talked about doing. But the main thing is we did it. We got it done. And that's why there's even more enthusiasm now than there was 4 years ago. That's a long speech. Let's get back to the teleprompter. Should we get back to the teleprompter or just keep going? Isn't it nice to have a president that doesn't need a teleprompter? Isn't that nice? How about where they give Sleepy Joe the questions? They give him the questions. We're going to ask you these questions. And then they give him answers, and he's reading the answer. Reporter, sir, could you please ask what flavor ice cream do you have? They never asked me a question like that. What flavor do you have, sir? I have, he wasn't actually sure, actually. I have vanilla and chocolate. I said, they never asked me a question like that. Even Crazy 60 Minutes, you see it last night? She was so hostile to me. And with them, it was softball. But you know what he did yesterday? He called me, he called me George yesterday. He didn't remember my name. I'm insulted by it. I didn't know, was I supposed to be happy or was I supposed to be sad? He called me George. And then I hear the reporter sort of said, no, it's not George. Donald. We can't have this. Look, our country is too important. President Xi is 100% sharp. Putin, 100% sharp. Kim Jong-un, North Korea, 100% sharp. We can't have this. This is not a game we're playing. If Biden and the Democrat socialists are elected, they will raise your taxes, bury your regulations. They will bury you in regulations, dismantle your police departments. You see that? Dissolve our borders. Wall is 400 miles long now. It's almost complete. Almost complete. And it's everything that Border Patrol wanted. We gave them their ultimate wish list. We said, let me see what you want. How about concrete plank? I like concrete plank. It's cheap. They said, no, sir, we have to see through it. We'd like steel because it's stronger than concrete. But we'd like concrete also, so we have the bars, and then we have concrete in the bars. And then, sir, we'd like rebar in the middle, so we have rebar in the middle. No, it's really incredible, and it's had a tremendous impact. It's the safest border we've ever had now, which was a very good time. And Mexico is paying for the wall, by the way, for those people. You notice you don't hear anything about the wall anymore. It used to be like when they thought I couldn't get it done. It was every day. He is not going to be able to get it done. Remember, Pelosi was fighting us like crazy, saying walls are obsolete. We don't need walls. We need drones to watch the people pour into our country. Right? We need a drone 1,000 feet up so that we can watch people pour right in. Now, we have drones, too, and they work off the wall, okay? That's a good combination. But they were just going wild. And then once I got the financing and the this and the that, and then I won court cases all over the place, so we started doing 10 miles a day. So we're up to over 400 miles. We'll be finished very soon. But you don't hear about it anymore. They don't talk about the wall anymore. They want to confiscate your guns, terminate religious liberty, and pack the Supreme Court with radical justices who will shred the Second Amendment. You better get out and vote. And to defend our God-given freedoms, I nominated Amy Coney Barrett. Right? She's going to be great. She's going to be great. She's going to be there for a long time. She's going to be there for a long time. And they vote on her today, tonight, today. The Democrats are saying, that's a terrible thing. They do the same. First of all, it's not terrible. Justice Ginsburg said, no, he's the president for 4 years. If somebody comes up in the fourth year, what's the difference? She said, of course, she was referring to Clinton or Obama, I guess, right? She perhaps wouldn't have said it if it was me, but she did say it, and that's the way it is. And they would do the same. Can you imagine Schumer crying Chuck saying, we think it's highly unethical to appoint a Supreme Court justice, radical left Supreme Court justice, because it's the fourth year. And we think, therefore, we won't do it. Can you imagine that? They would do it. The only difference is they do it faster than we did it. Okay? Joe Biden has made a corrupt bargain in exchange for his party's nomination. He has handed control of his party over to the socialists, Marxists, and left-wing extremists. And if Biden wins, the flag-burning radicals on the streets will be running your government, just like in Portland. We want to go in. We stopped them in Minnesota, Minneapolis, we stopped them. Wasn't that a beautiful sight? We should have been allowed to do it a lot sooner. In Seattle, we let them know we're coming in. And the following, 2 hours later, they walked away. We were all set to go in. I was sort of unhappy that they left. They took over a big chunk of Seattle. Remember that? But we let them after a while, you know, because the state is supposed to ask us in. They weren't going to. But we told them, I'm sorry. Where's Hunter? Where is Hunter? He's trying to make a deal with a foreign country to pay him $10 million. Where's Hunter? Remember the T-shirt, Where's Hunter? I was right. Thank you very much for that. Where's Hunter? This can only happen in Pennsylvania, right? I was here for school. So they don't talk about Hunter in the news now. You know that, right? I give a lot of credit to the New York Post, who endorsed me on their cover today. I'm not giving it. But they don't talk about Hunter because they're not allowed to, because we don't really have freedom of the press. We don't, okay? We don't have. They have totally taken this horrible scandal, the second biggest scandal in the history of our country. The first biggest was they spied on my campaign. That's the biggest. And they got caught. But the second is this, and they won't even talk about it. They won't talk about it. And the tech giants will shut everybody down. And you don't even hear. Here's a guy, had no job, and now all of a sudden he's making millions and millions of dollars a year, and they don't want to talk about it. And they know it's wrong, but that's called the opposite of freedom of the press. That's called the opposite, and they should be ashamed of themselves. And you know the beautiful thing is that we have a voice, and we're allowed to talk to people. Lots of people. And two of those red lights just went off. No, I mean, they're suppressing. You talk about suppression. They're suppressing something I've never seen. Honestly, nobody has ever seen anything like this. Even I mean, I'm not a big fan. I think press is incredible. I think it should be incredible. It's got such potential to be incredible. It would be so good for our country. But even me, I never heard of anything like what's going on, where you're not even allowed to write. New York Times, I don't know if they've ever written a story about it. Washington Post, they totally don't write. Here's a guy who stole tens of millions. He had no energy experience, zero. He knew less than this very young woman up here. Do you know anything about energy? Because if you do, you know more than him. No. He had no experience whatsoever. He was dismissed very unceremonially. I mean, look, he was, well, whatever you want to call it. It was a very sad, it was a sad dismissal. So he gets out of the military, got no job, nothing, and his father becomes vice president, and he gets a job on Burisma, right? And it's a very, got questionable reputation place. It's an energy company, gets $183,000 a month, plus they say $3 million up front to be on the board of a company. Nobody gets that. So he's on the board of Burisma. He then goes and he gets think of this, $3.5 million from the wife of the mayor of Moscow. He gets $3.5 million. Then he goes to China. He's like a human vacuum cleaner. He follows his father. Then he goes to China, gets $1.5 billion to manage, even though he's never heard of managing money, knows nothing about it, and gets millions of dollars in fees. And then he goes for the big quinella, but that's where it sort of ended. He asked China to pay him $10 million a year because he wants to do introductions. It was an introductory fee, $10 million a year, and I think that's probably at some place where they got caught. But this is pure corruption, and Joe got a piece of it because they said 10% goes to the big guy. Now, unless they have another big guy, he's not a big guy to me. He doesn't look too big. He looks like a big guy. No, he doesn't look like a big guy. But 10% goes to the big guy. He had another one where 50%. And they consider that off limits. You can't. Can you imagine if that were me or my kids? I mean, it would be the biggest scandal. It's a disgrace. And what they do is they shut it down. They will not write anything about it. I never thought a thing like that could happen. I never thought it could happen. In a way, it's a bigger story than the corruption of Biden itself. Joe Biden took 5 days off before the debate because he wanted to practice, and he still lost, like, by a lot. You don't want a president who takes 5 days off to study for a debate. I mean, you do it every day. What are you supposed to study for, really, when you think about it? And now he's taken at least another 4 or 5 days off. But no, but I did hear the breaking news today was he's going to make the speech, as I told you. I want to go hear it. It's so exciting. So exciting. When you're a president, you can't take a day off. You got to work. You got to work. You got to work really hard. For the American people, you got to work. And if Sleepy Joe ever got in, he wouldn't be in charge. The radical left will be in charge of the party. They will do, including fracking. There won't be any fracking. You can forget the frackers out there. Enjoy your life, but it won't be in the life of fracking. That's all over the country, not just in Pennsylvania, because it will be run by the radical left and the Green New Deal, which I thought at first was a hoax. I thought it was like the Russia hoax, okay? I thought it was a hoax. And it wasn't. I don't think they believe it. It's so crazy. $100 trillion. This election day, the people of Pennsylvania must stop the anti-American radicals by delivering Joe Biden and the far-left Democrats a thundering defeat at the ballot box. At the ballot box. Gotta do it. Whether you like hearing it or not, Joe Biden is a corrupt politician. He's a corrupt politician. You don't do that. You don't do that with these countries. We could do, it would be so easy. It's like they raise all this money, $300 million, and they're saying, oh, Trump is being outrageous. I would be the greatest fundraiser. All I have to do is call all the Wall Street guys, call all the guys, call all everybody. I would get 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 million every time I made a phone call. But you know what? I could never basically deal with those companies properly again. So I don't do it. And we don't need the money. We got a lot of money for this stuff. We got another 8 days to go. They had like $200 million. A lot of it's small money. You know, $61 average, small money. That's never happened to a Republican before. But this way you don't have to sell your soul. When somebody gives you a lot of money, it's, you know, not to say quid pro quo. I'm sure Joe would never do a thing like that, you know? But the fact is he's making deals. He's making deals. I could do it much easier because I'm much better at it if I wanted to be. And think of it. I'm the president of the United States calling the head of Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs! Listen, who I know them all. I want you to give me $25 million. I'm running the campaign. Please give me $25 million. They never report this stuff. And they would say, where do we send the check? And we can have it there in 1 hour, sir. But I don't want to do that because I'm compromised. Once you do that, you're compromised. They're compromised. They're compromised. The Democrats want to destroy your energy jobs in Pennsylvania while they're collecting for families. But in Joe's case, all of this money that we talked about on boards and everything else, it's a terrible thing. Foreign companies. He wants to send you jobs to China while his family rakes in millions of dollars from the Chinese Communist Party. That's what it is. I gave up a fortune to run for president, which is true. I lost a fortune on this deal. I lost, like billions between what I lose and what I didn't make. I lost a hell of a lot of money. And you know what? It's the greatest decision I've ever made because we are doing things that nobody else has ever been able to do. We're helping a lot of people. We're helping a lot of people. Joe Biden made a fortune by serving you as vice president. He made a fortune. Biden will sell the Oval Office just like he sold the vice presidency. The corruption, she said he already has. Yeah, in advance, that's right. The corruption of politicians like Biden, and it is corruption, is exactly why I ran for president. I ran for trade. I hated the trade deals. I saw that. Years ago in Michigan, they gave me the Man of the Year award. I said, why are you allowing them to take all of your car companies and moving them to Mexico and Canada? 32% of our companies were taken out. I said, why are you doing that? So it was for a lot of reasons, this one, but it was also for trade. The trade was so crazy. And now the trade is really good. Biden is the candidate of big media, big tech, big donors. I mean, you think about it. Here I am. Here I stand, right? I am with you. I stand here. Here's who I have against me. The Democrat Party, the rhinos from the Republican Party. I call them the stupid people. They're the stupid. Most of whom I beat because, you know, they all represented one of the candidates in the Republican Party. Then they went sour. I guess I beat them really badly. They've never forgotten. But the rhinos, big tech, I have everybody against. I have rhinos, big tech. I have very bad Republicans. Actually, sometimes the bad Republicans are worse than the Democrats. I really mean it. And we have big tech. And I stand here by myself and I say, I am the only thing between you and chaos. I am the only thing between you and your Second Amendment. I am the only thing between you and pro-life. I'm the only thing. I'm the only thing. I'm by myself. I'm all by myself. Now, we have some good Republicans, but we have some Republicans that also go, it's a strange thing, right? How some of them, they just go off the track. And they always have. This is not unique to us. They always have for some reason. We have some great ones, but we have some bad ones, too. If I don't sound like a typical Washington politician, it's because I'm not a politician, if you haven't noticed. And if I don't always play by the rules of Washington and the Washington establishment, it's because I was elected to fight for you, and I have fought harder for you than any president has ever fought before. So we're joined by a couple of real warriors that I'd like to introduce. Congressman Scott Perry. Scott, thank you very much. Warrior. Congressman Lloyd Smucker. Two great guys, really fighters. They're warriors. We had some great fights that we've won, haven't we? We have some great people in the Republican Party. Candidate for Pennsylvania State Treasurer, Stacey Garrity. Stacey? Great. Vote for Stacey. You doing well, Stacey? Good? I heard you're doing great. And Chris Cox, Bikers for Trump. Did you ever hear of Chris? This guy. He was great. I went, you know, Chris says thousands of bikers. I don't know why the hell the bikers like me so much, but they like. Chris told me I might be at 99 to 100%, but Chris is great. And no matter where I'd go, I'd have these bikes, thousands and thousands of bikes. I never saw. And I'd say, come on in. Can you come in? There's no room for them, right? They didn't want to come in. They said, sir, we're not here to listen to you speak. We're here just to protect you. We want to protect you. Think of that, right? Now, when they say Big Joe, that doesn't work, but that guy is big. Thank you very much, Chris. Great job you're doing, and I appreciate it. No, it's true. He said, no, sir, we're here for... And I felt so safe. I have these guys, tough guys, definitely tough. And they're sitting on those Harleys mostly, I guess, right? They're that... They felt good. That was never my deal, okay? I like the limousine better. I don't know why. But, you know, they're going boom, boom, and I never felt safer. It's true. There was just a tremendous love that we had right from the beginning, right? 4 years ago, right from the beginning. And it stayed that way, too. We're with them all the way. We built the greatest economy in history, and now we're doing it again. We increased middle-class family income over $6,000, more than 5 times the gains in all 8 years under the previous administration. African-American unemployment, Hispanic-American unemployment, Asian-American unemployment. Unemployment for young people that didn't have a high school education. They didn't have a diploma. They had a diploma. They had a diploma from MIT where they were first in their class. It didn't make any difference. Women did so great. Women did great. They all reached the lowest levels ever recorded. Since April, we created a record 11.4 million jobs. And under my leadership, we achieved the most secure border in U.S. history. That's beautiful. Walls help. Walls work, don't they, huh? Remember? They said the wall is obsolete. I said, no, wall's not obsolete, and a wheel is not obsolete. Everything else is obsolete. My opponent's insane immigration plan would eliminate U.S. borders by implementing nationwide catch and release. And I actually heard he said, we want to take down the wall. Do you believe this? Take down the wall. We will never let that happen. We got to win this election. This is the most important. We got to win this election. No, they want to take down the wall. His plan, I don't think, you know what? I don't think Border Patrol would let him. Okay, you want to know the truth? I think Border Patrol would say, Mr. President, we're not letting you get anywhere near this wall, Mr. President. His plan would also make every community into a sanctuary city for violent criminals. The Biden-Harris, how do you like Harris? Oh. The Biden-Harris plan would also increase refugees 700%. This was the manifesto that was agreed to with Crazy Bernie and Biden, right? So Biden and Crazy Bernie agreed to we call it the manifesto. 700% increase. The most dangerous places in the world they would come in, 700%. I have a ban. I was criticized for the ban. I said, no, if a country hates us and if their people hate us and if they want to do bad things to us, we're going to have a ban. Everybody criticized me, but I won in the United States Supreme Court. And now we don't let them in. If it's okay by the great people of Pennsylvania, we don't let them into our country. We want people that will love us and work with us and be a great help to us. That's what we want. So we have a ban. It was very controversial when I put it in, but it's not so controversial. All you have to do is look what happened the other day in Paris, and you'll see that it's not so controversial anymore. People are very happy that we have it, and we keep a lot of very bad people out of our country. And nobody else would do that. Nobody else would do that, Chris. I guarantee you that. Nobody else would do it. They pledged to terminate all national security travel bans. They want to end the ban. Opening the floodgates to radical Islamic terrorism. No, thank you. I'm keeping the terrorists, jihadists, and violent extremists, those terrible extremists, the hell out of our country, if that's okay. We invested $2.5 trillion in the U.S. military. By the way, all made in the USA. We have the greatest equipment, the greatest missiles. We have the greatest rockets. We have the greatest jet fighter planes, F-35. We have the greatest equipment anywhere in the world. Our nuclear arsenal is totally rebuilt or new. Hope to God we never have to use any of this equipment. Just hope we never have to. By having it, it's less likely we'll have to use it. Sort of, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. But we have the greatest. When I came in, a highly overrated general, one of the most highly overrated generals there are, said, sir, we don't have any ammunition. Because we could have had a conflict, as you remember, at the beginning. He said, sir, we don't have any ammunition. I said, no president should ever hear that again. And now we have so much ammunition, you won't believe how much ammunition. We also passed VA choice and VA accountability. Everyone said impossible to get it done. And exactly 1 year ago today, we killed the leader of ISIS, al-Baghdadi. And we took out the world's top terrorist. Soleimani is dead. Soleimani is dead. Killed a lot of people, Soleimani. I withdrew from the last administration's disastrous Iran nuclear deal, $150 billion, $1.8 billion in cash. How about that? That's a lot of cash. $1.8 billion, nobody's ever even heard of such a thing. $1.8 billion, 5 plane loads of cash. I recognized the true capital of Israel and opened the American embassy in Jerusalem. Every president for decades, they campaigned on that. Every president, look at that, that's nice. Every president for decades campaigned. They said, not so easy to do, but I did it. Instead of, and I got the building built, right? Fast. We got it built for a tiny, tiny little fraction of what it was supposed to cost. Instead of never-ending wars, we are forging peace in the Middle East. You saw what just happened. You saw what just happened, right? Sudan yesterday, Sudan, UAE, United Arab Emirates, right? Bahrain, and we have them stacked up. They want to come in. And we did it the exact reverse as I've been trying to do for 40 years. I said, that one doesn't work. And it's all working out very well, and there's no blood in the sand, and they want to come in. A vote for Republicans, is a vote for the American dream. It's very simple. It is a vote for the American dream. You know, the Republican Party is the party of Abraham Lincoln, right? I always say, you know, when they start saying this or that, I say, no, it's very easy to be presidential. I can be more presidential than any president in history, with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln when he's wearing the hat, right? Actually, doing this is much tougher than being presidential. Doing what I do is much tougher. And if I was presidential, perfectly presidential, there'd be about 3 people like Obama had the other day, 3 people. And in conclusion, over the next 4 years, we will make America into the manufacturing superpower of the world, and we will end our reliance on China, which is already beginning. We will hire more police, increase penalties for assaults on law enforcement, and we will ban deadly sanctuary cities. We will uphold religious liberty, free speech, and the right to keep and bear arms. We will hold that. Second Amendment. Second Amendment. We will end surprise medical billing, require price transparency. The biggest thing is price transparency. You will see, goes into effect, already signed. I've signed it, January 1st. The biggest thing, lower drug prices, as I told you, favored nations clauses, biggest decrease in the history. Why do you see that when that kicks in? And we will always protect patients with pre-existing conditions, always. We will stop the radical indoctrination of our students and restore patriotic education to our schools. We will teach our children to love our country, honor our history, and always respect our great American flag. Always. And we will live by the timeless words of our national motto, "In God we trust." For years, you had a president who apologized for America. Now you have a president who is standing up for America and standing up for the great people of Pennsylvania. I'm standing up. For the last 4 years, you've seen me fight for you, and now I am relying on you to deliver a historic victory for our country, bigger even than 4 years ago. Gotta vote. By the way, could I ask, you know, Pennsylvania's it's known as a very late voting state, which is good, which is fine. Very late voting, like Election Day. Very unusual, actually, but I understand it. You want to make sure your vote is counted. You don't want the ballot hoax, because when you see it, they'll have so many problems. You know, they throw away ballots if it has the name Trump on it, boom. They printed ballots. Some ballots, I think 25,000, were printed for a certain state. It was missing one little thing, the name Trump. So a lot of bad things happen, but Pennsylvania's smart. You vote late. Who has voted? Raise your hand. Yeah, that's what happens. This is going to be a red wave. Who is going to vote? Yeah. This is going to be, and I'm glad you saw the last debate. You know, did you hear the #1 thing on Google was, how do I change my vote? Did you know that? How do I change my vote? Something like hashtag. Did you hear that? Hashtag, how do I change my vote? They watch the debate. I wanted that debate to move way up, you know, because a lot of people voted by this crazy ballot deal. Boy, do you see the mess that thing is going to be in. Well, even your state, they can count them after the election is over. This is a major state. They want to count them. So they don't want poll watchers, and they want to be able to count votes after the election is over. What does that mean? We're going to wait? The whole country is going to wait? So we'll see how it all ends up. It's all in court. It's all a hoax. And let me tell you something. The Democrats know how crooked it is. They know. And then they talk about, he's not for freedom. He's not for freedom. Our president is not for freedom. And he's not looking for an easy transition and safe transition. What about the transition that I had, where you spied on my campaign and you tried to take down the President of the United States? That didn't work out too well. But they want a friendly transition, right, Jeffrey? A friendly. But, you know, the only problem is, look at the transition they gave us. They fought us tooth and nail for years. Russia, Russia, Russia. 48 million spent on Mueller, that whole hoax. 48 million. No collusion, right? So no collusion. $48 million. No, they want a friendly. First of all, here's the main thing. Let's not lose, and then we don't have to worry about it. Okay? Let's just win. We won't lose, so there's nothing to talk about. Let's leave it that way. No, we want everything to be done properly, and we want it to be done absolutely by the book, and we want to go absolutely by our great Constitution. But you know what? When they start talking about this friendly, wonderful transition, and then you see what they put us through, it's really very hypocritical, isn't it, huh? On November 3rd, we must finish the job and drain that very deep and very nasty swamp once and for all. So get your friends, get your family, get your neighbors, and get your co-workers, even get your boss. Say, boss, I want to get you out to vote. But get out and vote. Most important election ever. I really believe that. I never thought I'd say it. If you would have told me I was going to say that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I would have not believed it. From Erie to Easton, from Pittsburgh to Harrisburg, and from Lebanon to right here in Lancaster. We stand on the shoulders of Pennsylvania patriots who gave their blood, sweat, and tears for this beloved nation. This is the state where founding fathers declared American independence. Think of it, what you did. Think of Pennsylvania. Think of it relative to our country. So much has happened, so many important events. It's where the Army weathered its brutal winter at Valley Forge, where General George Washington, don't worry, we will not be taking down the Washington Monument, please don't worry. Cancel culture. Congressman, there'll be no cancel culture. Now, can you believe that? They do. I mean, they actually had a commission, the D.C. mayor. One of the recommendations is Lincoln, Jefferson, Washington memorials. Let's take them out. And they didn't like Mount Rushmore either, okay? It's blowing right up now. Not going to happen. No, we stopped it. You know, I signed a document. You play with any of our statues or monuments, 10 years in prison. It's amazing how that stopped. All of a sudden, Jeffrey, it just stopped, right? You don't see it anymore. Where General George Washington led his men on a daring mission across the Delaware, and when our Union was saved by the great heroes of Gettysburg. Gettysburg, think of that, Gettysburg. What a place. Never fight uphill, me boys, right? That was Robert E. said, never fight uphill. He heard they were fighting uphill, but they didn't have cell phones in those days. They tried to get them to stop, but they fought uphill. That didn't work out. Think of that, though, Gettysburg, the history. This is the place where generations of tough, strong Pennsylvania workers mined the coal, worked the railroads, forged the steel that made America into the greatest, most powerful nation in the history of the world, and where we are making it far greater than it ever was. We are making it far greater. This nation will be greater than it ever was, and I so believe that. I so believe that. Proud citizens like you help build this country, and together we are taking back our country. We are returning power to you, the American people. That's what's happening. And they don't like that in Washington. With your help, your devotion, and your drive, we are going to keep on working. We are going to keep on fighting. And we are going to keep on winning, winning, winning. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And together with the incredible people of Pennsylvania, we have made America powerful again, our military. We have made America wealthy again, your stock markets, your 401ks. We have made America strong again. We have made America proud again. We have made America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, Pennsylvania. Thank you. Thank you very much.
To every single mother, every small business owner, every farmer, every cancer survivor, and every woman out there who has ever been put down by the establishment, it's time to stand up. On November 3rd, we need you to write in Ola Hawatma on the ballot under New York 19th Congressional. Make history in the New York 19th District with the first woman to win by a write-in. Don't just vote. Make history on November 3rd, 2020. Write in Ola Hawatma.
Dr. Melinda Morris supports a strong economy, safe neighborhoods, limited property taxes, and promotes an improved education system. Dr. Melinda Morris wants to improve access and insurance coverage for medical care. Dr. Morris is pro-life and will support right-to-life legislation in Austin. Dr. Morris will remain true to her values when she is elected to office. She is going to Austin to promote life, prosperity, and personal freedom for the constituents of Senate District 13.
I'm Greg Raths. As a veteran, current council member, local businessman, I know our community. As your congressman, I'll fight to reduce healthcare costs, keep our cities safe, and our communities healthy. Our jobs protected, our economy growing, and our nation defended. Orange County is a wonderful place to live, work, and raise a family, but together we can make it even better.
Vote Greg Raths for Congress.